being willing to consider the difficult and sensitive topic of the destruction of the World Trade Center and the devastating loss of life that we experienced on that day. Thank you for being open-minded enough to hear the facts and the evidence on the collapse. Since September 11th, 2001, these events have served as an excuse for the invasion of two countries. And as of 2008, over 1 million people have lost their lives in an unwinnable, never-ending war on terrorism. It has also served as an excuse to strip away most of your liberties and your freedoms through the Patriot Act and the Military Commissions Act and other pending legislature. And one of the most horrifying things is that an event just like this, and even worse, could happen again if we don't find out more and hold the people accountable who are responsible. More and more people are coming around to the truth and coming around to wanting to know the truth. In 2006, a New York Times and CBS poll said that 28% of Americans believed the Bush administration was lying about Iraq and about the September 11th events. In Time magazine, 36% of people believe that the government allowed the attacks to be carried out or carried them out themselves. A Scripps Howard News Service poll on August 2nd, 2006 said that a third of Americans believed the government allowed the attacks, and that 16% of Americans believed that it was very likely or somewhat likely that the collapse of the Twin Towers was due to explosives secretly planted in the buildings. The National Institute of Standards and Technology has said that they found no evidence of controlled demolition at the World Trade Center, but also admitted that they did not look for any. What I'm presenting today is not a conspiracy theory. It's just looking at the forensic evidence of the events and presenting the technical truth and the evidence of explosive demolition. I want to thank you again for dealing with this difficult subject. Just to say the words 9/11 can bring back the shock and awe of the event, and the reverberations of which will last beyond our lifetime. The official story of the collapse of the Twin Towers goes something like this. 4 passenger planes were hijacked and taken off course. Within 1 hour, 2 of the planes were flown into the Twin Towers in New York City, creating fires and eventually toppling the buildings. Dazed by the news and the horrible loss of life, we were made to believe that the fires were so hot and intense that the steel frames gave way and the structure collapsed due to fire. Though many steel frame structures had burned for longer and endured much greater damage, a protected, fireproof steel frame structure has never collapsed in the entire history of the world before this event. A myth developed that an impact plus the fires was great enough to cause the collapse. It was developed to a bewildered audience still in shock, trying to understand, as they replayed the videos over and over of 110 stories falling to the ground in under 10 seconds. Now they're trying to make it illegal to play any footage of the September 11th events on television. You have to wonder why they're trying to make that happen. When a fire destroys a building, a fire creeps from place to place, going to a new fuel source, leaving the old areas to cool and be burned out. It has never created a collapse in a protected steel frame structure, ever. When buildings fall over due to fire, they fall over. They don't fall down through the path of greatest resistance. Structural beams progressively sag. The whole building doesn't collapse into its own footprint in a matter of seconds. On the other hand, a controlled demolition, there are sounds of explosion, flashes of light, billowing clouds of smoke, and pulverized concrete that's turned to dust before it can ever reach the ground. Quick expansion of gases create a mushroom cloud above the building. There's a vertical, symmetrical collapse at nearly free fall speed in what used to be the path of greatest resistance. In into a consolidated rubble pile in the building's footprint. There's minimal damage to the adjacent structure. You can see squibs exploding from the building that were mistimed. There's chemical and physical evidence of cutter charges, and none of these things can be explained by a fire or a jet impact into a building. And all of these things have been found physical evidence at the World Trade Center site. Most people don't know that a third building collapsed that day. World Trade Center 7 was not hit by a plane. It endured little damage that was insignificant from debris from the Twin Towers. 8 fires, some of which were on the opposite side of the side that was struck by the debris, were deemed to be insignificant to the point they would not create a collapse. The Securities and Exchange Commission, containing thousands of files of hundreds of cases against Wall Street companies, including Enron and WorldCom, were completely destroyed. The implications of these facts are enormous, and when you start to consider them, it has changed my life considerably. Because you have to think that the demolitions material had to have been planted in the building prior to the planes hitting the building. And the materials and evidence found were of thermite and nanothermite, which can't be made in a cave in Afghanistan. They can only be made in the top labs in the country, which are under Defense Department contracts. There was a blackout period in the World Trade Center buildings weeks prior to the attack, which companies that leased and rented space there had to be moved for an indeterminate amount of time. When you consider all these facts, you have to wonder where this leaves us. And it leaves us with an investigation that doesn't deal with the facts. It leaves us with no answers and false science. It leaves us with more questions. And you have to wonder, what can you personally do about something like that? A lot of people see the information, they watch the DVDs, they hear somebody speak about it, and they know the difference, and that's good, but that's not enough. Things that you can do, you can go to ae911truth.org and you can sign the petition for a new investigation. You can go to wearechange.org and join people in your community who are trying to make a difference and trying to have the truth come out. Included in the literature we will be distributing are lots of other websites and references. Don't just take what I say or what any of these people say or what the government says as a fact or the truth. Investigate on your own. Check the facts. They're available to be checked. Real science is repeatable. I want to thank everybody again for coming out here and being able to stand out in a little bit of rain to deal with these crucial and difficult subjects. Thanks so much. Please take the information and please spread it to other people. Thanks a lot.